All right. So I see that some of you guys have used Gagan's one-to-one call. How do you want to talk about it? What do you think? Is it helpful to all of you guys, whoever has used it? I know Sakshi did. So Sakshi, what do you want to say?
Yeah, it was really good because since I am using Mac, I was initially facing problems with the setup and everything.
Uh-huh.
Chrome driver was not working, so he
Right.
helped then. Yeah.
Very good. Awesome.
Yeah.
And who else tried to speak to Gagan?
So good morning.
Good morning, Venkat.
Yeah, I contacted him one time, Gagan, and I just see that there is a little issue is the timing slots, so sometimes it's about 2 hours. So he's going to help us every day, but not sure, the timings. Is there any possible to have him the weekends, any support and couple of
Not
hours?
not exactly, Venkat. The point is that this guy is also working like me. In the weekends, Venkat, you can book a call with me. I will probably give a slot. Actually, for me also sometimes it's busy, but
Yeah,
after 7 p.m. In the weekend, I can give you some time. Uh, but what is the time slot that Gagan is having right now? I didn't check actually.
he said, I think it's 2 hours every day. I think it's evening is 7 to 9 or something. I think in the evening
Okay.
in India time.
In
And
India time, okay. Is
yeah,
that not working for you?
yeah, it may work, but we never know when we need help. Sometime like if you struck something, it takes 1 or 2 days to get him slot. But
No.
anyway,
So
yes,
the
that is
point is this. The point is this. You can ask the question if you are having a problem. First and foremost, ask the question in
like
the Slack.
yeah,
Yes. So then we will try to solve your problem in the Slack.
yeah,
And then if it is not working, then you have
yeah.
some time to book for Gagan. Okay.
Yeah, I thought same. So because some of them already have that issue and they've sorted out and they can give
Yeah.
a straight away the answer. They can help us.
Yes.
And
Yes.
even you also watching that Slack every time, so
Yes.
you may
Yes.
give
Yes.
a hand. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
fine. Anyway, there's no major issue. He's a good guy and he's trying to help us. Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Mm.
And anybody else who used his support by any chance? No? Okay. I see someone join with the name Huma. Huma, is that Anila or who is that? Or Helen? Someone named Huma joined here. Hi Huma, I am trying to unmute you. Not sure. Hi Huma. Who is Huma here in the class?
Oh, it's me, Sovik Shoaib.
Oh, sure, my bad. So sorry. Okay, I was confused. No problem. Thank you. That's fine. Perfect. So let's get started, guys. We were in the week 3, and I remembered that I couldn't run into the runtime polymorphism because last class we were so much, detailed. We have taken a discussion about constructor and constructor, how to work with constructor, so on and so forth. So overloading, overriding, overloading, we have seen which is polymorphism. We have seen about constructor as well. We are supposed to handle the runtime polymorphism, and we are supposed to go to Expat. So I'll go there and I'll finish up this section about runtime polymorphism, and then we will go to Expat. All right. So let's see what I have in runtime polymorphism. Um, okay, there is some sound coming from someone. There's a problem with Zoom. I have muted everyone, but it's still showing. I'm still able to hear someone here. Okay, now it's gone. Good. All right, so let's see. Method overloading, overriding. I have spoken about this. Constructor overloading, overriding. Overriding is different than overloading. Okay, let me talk about that overriding first, and then we'll go to runtime polymorphism. All right. So what is method overriding? Overriding is a feature that will allow a subclass or a child class to provide a specific implementation of a method that is already provided by the parent class. All right. That is basically a overriding. Let's go to the Eclipse and do a quick project on that. So Java project, Java plus 4. Okay. So what I will do is I will copy few stuff from my class 3 so that I don't redo things, right? So I'll obviously go ahead and say new package and say test Java. And I'll just go and say copy car and copy Mercedes and test cars. Maybe this 3 should be fine to run this example. Okay, so I have a car. Let me close others. All right, so we have a car here and the car is having a constructor. No problem with that. The car is having few methods: start car, stop car, accelerate car, and print car info, right? If you remember, I have given you an example about Mercedes, which is extending to car, right? When I extend it to car, because the car class is having a constructor, the subclass Mercedes should also support that by creating a constructor. The idea is that the child class constructor will call the parent class constructor. And why will it do it? Because at the end of the day, you are planning to supply the data from the child class to the parent class. That's your motive, because parent class is the guy who contains the actual data members. Okay, so the brand, so the model, so the engine, every other information is a part of the parent class. Child class is not holding any of these information, but these are the guys, or these are the variables which are actually going to store the actual value. All right, so using child class constructor, you can call the parent class constructor. We have seen that perfectly fine. And I have also shown you that in the child class, if you wish, you can create your own method like I did last time. I said that I can go ahead and create my own method, which was start car with proximity sensor, meaning child class can obviously use the methods coming out of the parent class. Okay, no problem in accessing them. But at the same time, a child class can go ahead and create their own method. And then if you are creating the object of the child class, then you can basically work out with both parent class methods and child class methods, right? That is what I have shown you. I want to give you some understanding, number one, on this, and then let me come to the overriding. Whatever the discussion I have taken, I want to give you some understanding of this, and then I will come back to the overriding. So I'll just quickly remove my drawing. I'll go back to the test cars, And there are so many things here. Let me just clear it out. Or maybe I'll clear out this section. I'll clear out this section. And I will show you something. That is, you have an object of Mercedes. You have added the constructor parameters. That's how you will be sending the data. That's fine. And you can access these methods. If you actually do marks dot, you can see you're getting accelerate car, you're getting print car info, you're getting start car with proximity sensor, and stop car. I'm not sure if you have noticed at this stage. So basically what I'm trying to say here is that you're seeing the methods coming from the car class. You see, it is mentioning that where exactly this method is located. So in the car class, print info car class, start car with proximity sensor, it is a part of Mercedes. Stop car is a car class, right? So all these guys are part of car class, and one of it is in Mercedes class. Now, if I am creating an object of the car class, car Mercedes equals new car. I want to just explicitly confirm this to you so that you don't forget this. Mercedes class E. Some number and 2.2. That's all I have for the constructor for the Mercedes class. Now, if I say Mercedes dot, notice carefully, I see accelerate car, I see print car info, I see start car, stop car, right? But I do not see start car with proximity sensor. I hope it is clear to you that a parent class object, this is a parent class object, this is a child class object. A parent class object will not have the information of the child class, right? A parent class will not have the information of the child class, which is why you will not be able to access the method start card with proximity sensor over here. I am expecting that you know that already, but I'm just still making it very clear to you. All right. I want to give it a try by doing something, which is one minute. I'll tell you what I'm trying to do. Now, you saw me doing something. Now you see, with the Mercedes, which is a car class object, you see that I am able to access this guy. Why is that? And I did something here which you have not seen before me doing this. I'm not sure if you have seen it somewhere else, but you have not seen me doing this before for sure in the class. What exactly is this?
Is it you're just including the Mercedes class into that
Yeah.
object? I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Basically, it's
Basically,
like it gives access to whatever it's in Mercedes to the Merc object.
right. Basically, this is called as downcasting. There are two things, upcasting and downcasting. This is downcasting. Why I'm saying downcasting? Because this Mercedes is an object of car, and you are trying to adjust, or you're trying to give the properties of your child class to the parent class by adding a casting mechanism here. So you're casting your Mercedes object to the car class object. That is how you are getting the access to this. At the same time, you will also have the access to other methods, accelerate car, print car info, and other stuff as well. Okay, this is something that I have not shown you earlier, but I'm just showing you it is possible. However, it is possible only if there is a relationship between this guy and this guy. You cannot just randomly cast one class to other if there is no relationship. You have a relationship here, which is why it worked out. Okay, so I just wanted to make this a point. All right, so now that we understand this part, let us head back to our overriding situation. What is overriding situation? I have my Mercedes class here. I said I can create our own method. I can create a method called as start car with proximity sensor. However, this is not needed. For example, if Mercedes is having only one property or only one property to start the car, that is, it doesn't really have any other property or any other ways to start the car, you just go in front of the car automatically and it just starts the car in neutral mode. It starts the car and you just go in and drive away, right? It doesn't have any other properties to it, right? In that situation, you don't need to really bother about creating another method called start car with proximity sensor. I mean, you can simply go ahead and comment it out and you can say, let me go ahead and just override the same start car that I have for coming out of my parent. So I say start car coming out of my parent, just like that. As soon as I did that, well, you have to remember something with overriding, whatever format your car is having, your car method is having. Your car method is having exactly the format as this. So public void start car without parameters. You are exactly keeping the same format, same structure of the method. If you do that in your subclass, you are creating an overriding situation. You're overriding a method. You see, you automatically get a triangle like this, and it says overrides test card, test java.card.start card. So you're trying to override this particular method from a method which is something that you're going to redefine in your subclass. In this section, you can go ahead and say, well, I am just concerned about starting the car with proximity sensor because I have just overridden the mechanism of start car in my subclass. That's it. So if that's the case, then you go back to your test car method and this method is not there anymore. No problem at all. So you go and say dot start car, simple as that. And now that you have this, now if you run this guy, you get the value as starts car with proximity sensor because you have just overridden it. So there is a significant difference between overloading and overriding. Please do not mess it up. Okay, it's absolutely different, two different things. Can you guys give me a confirmation that you have understood this part? Yes or no? All right, okay. So that's cool. So once you have this in place, now next thing is what? Next thing we will try to understand about runtime polymorphism. Okay, polymorphism meaning changing the shape or basically multiple shapes of a method. Runtime polymorphism is absolutely different than that. Nothing to do with method actually, but actually how you can create a relationship or how you can look into a parent-child relationship from a different perspective is what runtime polymorphism is talking about. So let me just go into the deck here. Runtime polymorphism, what exactly it is? Runtime polymorphism is a mechanism by which a call to an overridden method is resolved at runtime, okay, rather than compile time. Okay, why is that? It's not about multiple shapes of the method, but it is about how it is being called. Now, when an overridden method is called through a superclass reference, then Java decides which version of the method to call at runtime. Okay, so if you remember in polymorphism, just give me 1 minute. Okay, so once you are creating a polymorphism situation, if you're keeping same two methods in your Eclipse, your Eclipse will immediately give you a compilation error. So the compilation problem that you cannot keep two methods in the same class with the same name, same format, same parameter. You cannot do that. Okay, that's a compile time issue. However, with the runtime polymorphism, it is different. It is saying that at a runtime, Java will decide which method to call depending on its inputs provided by the caller. Okay, let me explain that. A superclass reference variable can refer to a subclass object and it leads to a method call. Let me explain this. You have seen me doing this over and over again. You have seen me doing this structure multiple times, where I have 1 minute. Where is my okay? So you have just seen me doing over and over again. I have a class A. I'm creating an object A equals new A. But you have never seen me doing this. Class A object B equals new B, or class A object C equals new C. What exactly is this meaning? It means that there is basically three classes, A, B, and C. It's a, it's a B, it's a C. And I'm saying I'm creating an object of class A, but referencing to class B. Now, why do I even bother to do it? Why do I have to even do it? I mean, what's the need of it? Let me show you what's the need of it, right? So let me go back to the example. I have a Mercedes class. I have a car class, totally fine. Now, I actually want to copy the Audi as well here. Good stuff. So there's some problem with the Audi. What's my problem with the Audi? Yes, let me just fix this constructor stuff here. No branding needed, because brand I'm going to anyway supply, coding it like I did for Mercedes. That's all. So you can see that accelerating with nitro, I have created a method called accelerating with nitro in this particular situation. I have a constructor over here. I have a car class which has all the previous methods and private variables, and then I have Mercedes. You have seen that as well. Cool. Now let's try to understand the runtime polymorphism and why do I even care? So I'm just going to create a variable named as string car. The car is Mercedes. Okay, I can just change the name of the value of the variable. The idea is, depending on the value of the variable car, my plan is to instantiate an object differently. How? So I can do something like this very easily by saying car auto equals null. I'm initializing it with null. Car auto equals null. And I'm saying if car dot equals or equals ignore case Mercedes. If that's the case, then I would like to instantiate the object of car referencing to Mercedes. When I do that, obviously I have to pass on the right values. So I just copy this whole section. Actually, not this section, this section over here. All right. Else, if car dot equals to Audi, then I would like to say auto equals new Audi, and I just pass on my information accordingly. So Audi A3, some number, and then 2.0 liter engine. So you can see that how exactly it worked out for me. I'm creating an object of car referencing to either Mercedes or Audi, depending on what? Depending on my user input. Depending on this user input, I can create an object differently at runtime. This is called as a runtime polymorphism. Now, what's the benefit of it? The benefit is this. I just go and say car dot start car. Sorry, not car, auto. Auto dot start car. Auto dot accelerate car. Auto dot stop car. I can say that. And when I say that, you see, depending on my user input, I will be calling the methods differently for different types of object. Meaning it is Mercedes right now. So if I just go and run this guy, I get the value from Mercedes. So the previous guys are, let me comment out the previous guys. And then let's rerun this again. You see, I'm getting information out of Mercedes object. Now, if I just change this to Audi, I get the value out of Audi. You see that? So depending on your user input, you are calling things differently. The question is still, why do you care? Why do you care? Because we are going to set up a very simple framework right now so that it all makes sense. Okay? This is test Java, totally fine. I'm gonna go to package. I'll create a package name as core package. And I'm going to create up another package called as test package. Tests package. All right. Just a second. All right. Okay. As a part of the core package, what do I want to do? I want to create a class. The class is a class which I'm going to create. This class I will be using till the end of our, whole project, whole training session. And this class is having only one job. The job is to generate a Webdriver object for me. To generate a Webdriver object for me. What I'll do is I'll just say driver factory. meaning it's a factory which generates Webdriver. Simple. That's it. I'm going to create a method or a private variable. Okay, by the way, before I do anything, I must add the Selenium jar under class path. It's always under class path, not module path. If you have seen any video where I'm putting it in the module, then please ignore that. Just use it in the class path. I will probably redo that video later on or edit that video later on. But always add it in the class path. Okay, add external jars, and that's that. Apply and close. Good. So I have the reference library here. I'm going to create a simple guy called private Webdriver driver equals null. All right. I'm going to create a method.
So a question.
Yeah.
How, you know, the jar file for the Selenium, how often we need to update in real time when you're doing projects? Do we need to, or we need to have instructions from the project manager or something?
No, it depends on, how it happens is basically you cannot just update it and start using it for the whole team. So the right way to do it is basically update it in your local system and try to run your test case with the new jar file that you have added. If you see any failures in the tests when you have added the new jar file, you must create a Jira ticket. Maybe 20, 30 test cases are failing for some reason. You can just create a Jira ticket and take some time from your sprint to fix those test cases. And then you can basically ideally push it to your regression cycle. But you just don't, blindly update your jar file out of nothing. You first test it and then you do it. However, it is not very often. For example, you can see 3.14, 1.59 is there for a long time. The version 4 is coming up, but it's coming up slowly. Especially you can see right now there is, I think, version 4 beta version coming up. So selenium.dev. If I go there, you see that the downloads, they are coming up with, you see, latest stable version. Try to always take this guy, because you see, even if you go and try to pick up the new version, the 4 version, the version 4, it's kind of in a beta state. So it's not yet fixed or not yet there for official use. You can use it, try to see if your test cases are working fine. Otherwise, you can stick with this, but it doesn't really happen very often. If that's a question. Even if it happens, then you have to slowly transition into the new version. Anyways, so private Webdriver driver equals null. I will import the Webdriver. That's good. And then I say, I'm going to create a method called public. This method is going to return me back a Webdriver object. So Webdriver. Method name is getDriver. And the method will accept a parameter, which is the name of the browser. So string browser. Simple. String browser. This method is supposed to give me back a Webdriver object, so it's totally fine. What I do is I say if browser dot equal ignore case, and this is Chrome. If it is Chrome, by the way, why equal ignore case? Because this method that you're creating, getDriver, can be used by every developer. A developer can write the text Chrome in any case they want to, and it should still work, right? Which is why you're saying equal ignore case, so that any case will work for them. I'll just create another section over here, else if and browser Firefox. You can add other 10 different browsers, no problem at all. I'll just say Firefox over here. All right. And what you can do is you can just say driver equals new Chrome driver. Okay. And here you can say driver equals new Firefox driver. All right. New Chrome driver, new Firefox driver. Let me import both of it. They're all coming from Selenium WebDriver package. So I got them here. And then finally, you would like to return back the WebDriver. Okay. Now the method is not yet over. We have to add in some more information. We have to say system.setProperty WebDriver.Chrome driver WebDriver.Chrome driver, and you pass on the value to the Chrome driver exe that we have, that we will be using. Chrome driver that we'll be using. So I have kept my Chrome driver inside C drivers. No, this is not the location. C devwork drivers Chrome driver. That's it. You can choose your own location. When we start talking about the advanced framework, you will see that we will never need this later on at the very end of our training session. When I talk about advanced framework, when we start running things in a Dockerized container, you will see that we don't even care to add these information manually. Okay, it will be done automatically, but I cannot show that to you. It will not make sense. So Chrome driver.exe, and here you just say WebDriver.gecko driver, and then you pass on the location of your gecko driver, which is 29164, this one, right? So just pass on this, say all right. So you have just created a method. Why am I so bothered about showing this to you? Because this one class is now going to be responsible to generate a WebDriver object for you. I'm going to add in another line here. This line is needed for waiting mechanism, to handle waiting mechanism. However, I will talk about it in details. For now, just keep it there as it is. We'll talk about this later in detail. So driver.manage, two lines actually, driver.manage.window.maximize. You understand this very well. We're trying to maximize the browser window. And then the second one is driver.manage.implicit wait, sorry, timeouts.implicit wait. And then I'm going to give a timeout of like 30 seconds. Time unit seconds. Okay. So what exactly is this? I'll talk about it later on when the right time comes. That's one of the method I created in this class. The other method I will be creating here is public void quit driver. As a part of this guy, what will I do? I will go ahead and say if driver is not equals to null, that means if the driver is instantiated already, if it is null, then don't do anything. But if it is not null, that means if it is already instantiated, then go and fire quit. Simple method. Two methods, clear crystal with clear and crystal um, activities, right? Or responsibilities. One is for getting driver, one is for quit driver. Simple as that. Now,
Sorry, Sufik.
yeah, go on.
I was just gonna ask this last one, the driver.quit.
Yeah.
It doesn't do anything, right? Because I
It,
mean, if I
it
write,
kills the driver. You have to
yeah, but
call, if you call the method, it will kill the driver.
because I have to, like, for example, when I've done the exercises, I had to, like, if I write driver.close, it will close the
No, there's a
browser. But if
there's a difference, significant difference between close and quit, and I'll talk about that later on. But if you just call this method called quit driver, you create an instance of this object, and then you call the method quit driver, your driver will be killed, right?
and if you so if you don't write this, the public void quit driver, and you just write driver.quit at the end, would it do the same thing? Or
It will. But the point is that um, I'm trying to give you a particular class, and you are trying to use an object of it to basically call the respective methods.
okay,
You will get a driver. So this method will give you back a WebDriver object anyway, and you can just say driver.quit. You can do that. There is no harm in doing that. But at the same time, you can also use the driver factory and then just say this object dot quit driver, and that will also quit the driver.
okay, all right,
It's kind of same, yeah, kind of same.
okay.
Okay, different ways of calling it though, yeah. All right, so that's a simple method. Why am I talking about this method? Because I want to show you something. I want to show you the exact structure of how WebDriver works. Okay, how WebDriver is related to Chrome driver. Now you can just see that I have just created a sort of, not sort of, but it is runtime polymorphism mechanism. So I am creating an object of WebDriver, which is referencing to the Chrome driver, and same for Firefox driver. Okay. So from this structure, you can understand that probably there is a class, sorry, probably there is a class called as WebDriver, and there is two different subclasses called as Chrome driver and Firefox driver. And probably from this particular code, you are understanding that I am somehow trying to, they're all connected. I'm trying to create a runtime polymorphism situation, creating an object of WebDriver, but instantiating referencing the Chrome driver and the Firefox driver. But this is not the exact case, actually. And this is why I took up this discussion, so that I can get you the whole picture. In the world of programming, when you're starting the programming, documentation is very, very important for you to look into, so that you can understand the story behind it. Apparently, it looks like this from this particular code, but it is not exactly like this. So let me take you to the documentation of Chrome driver and WebDriver and show you some stuff that will be a little bit more interesting to look at. So I will go to the guy here, and then let's have Chrome driver Java doc. Let me open up. And the one is Firefox. Oh, sorry, WebDriver Java doc. Let's take up Gecko driver, or Firefox driver. Okay. Let's try to understand this. Chrome driver Java doc. Chrome driver is a class. All right. Chrome driver is a class, but Chrome driver is a class that is not connected to Webdriver. It's not a class that is directly accessing the Webdriver. Number one, Webdriver is not a class. Webdriver is not a class. That's the first thing that you must be understanding. It's an interface. It's an interface. I will talk about interface in details later on. There is something called as abstract class and interface. I'll talk about that later in details. But WebDriver is not a class, number one. Number two is Chrome driver is not directly connected to the WebDriver. It is not connected to the WebDriver. Okay? Chrome driver is connected to something else called as remote WebDriver. Remote WebDriver is actually a class. Remote WebDriver is a class. How do I know? Nothing. Go and look into the, okay, it is not coming up here. No bother. Go to, I'll just say remote WebDriver Java doc. Yeah. So, no, not this, not this, not this. I'm looking for Java doc. Okay. So remote WebDriver is a class. All right. WebDriver is not a class. That's number one. Now let's look at the remote WebDriver and let's try to understand that remote WebDriver is actually connected to the WebDriver interface. That is why we are saying WebDriver driver equals Chrome driver, because you can say that WebDriver is in the top layer. It's not a class, it's an interface, but it's in the top layer. Then we have a remote WebDriver. Then we have classes like Chrome driver or Firefox driver. Right? And those two guys are basically connecting to remote WebDriver. Right? These guys are connected to remote WebDriver with a extends keyword. This is the parent guy for Chrome and Firefox. So they are connected with this, all right? And this guy is connected with WebDriver using something called as interface. Anyways, so remote WebDriver now has some methods. Look at that. Close, execute, find element by class name, find element by XPath, find elements, find element by CSS selector, link text, XYZ, whatever. It's all here. .get method, all right? Get current URL, everything is here as a part of remote WebDriver. Okay, everything is here as a part of remote WebDriver. If I take you back to the Chrome driver, if I go down and try to understand the methods, you will not see anything that is significant for our use case. You will not see close, you will not see find element, you will not see any of them. However, you are able to access it. If you just go there in this section after you instantiated it, if you just go here and you just say driver dot find element, where exactly this guy is coming from. It is coming from remote WebDriver actually. That is the place where it is actually implemented. But basically I am accessing it via Chrome driver. Is that making sense to you? Yes, no? Is this making sense to you?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
All right. So this layout is very important for you to understand that how exactly things are being structured. So basically, remote WebDriver is a middle layer. Below remote WebDriver, we have all sort of classes: Chrome driver, Firefox driver, Edge driver. All right. And then above remote WebDriver, there is WebDriver. Okay. That's why we are able to write something like this. Okay. This method is clear. Runtime polymorphism is clear. All right. Now we can use this guy and then we can start writing some test cases. So what I'm trying to say here is that in your test package, you can go ahead and you can say, you can create a class like this and say, you want to create a class for, you want to create a test case holder for hostel world. So just say hostel world tests, something like this. No main method here, just like that. Keep it just like that. Good. As a part of the hostel world test, we can go ahead and create a simple constructor. Okay. We'll first create a private WebDriver object. Why? I'll tell you that. Private WebDriver driver. You see, I'm just creating a very basic framework. Framework is nothing but making a maintainable piece of code which makes sense for you to use, and then it will make your life easy in terms of looking at the problem and then basically creating some rules behind writing your test. I'll just show you the basic structure so that it makes sense. So I'm just creating a private WebDriver over here, Control-Shift-O. So the shortcut is Control-Shift-O. Let me just do it here. Control plus Shift plus O. Right? This guy will let you import anything that is not imported. For example, if I remove this, I have a problem. I say Control-Shift-O, and it imports, right? So you can use these shortcuts as well. As a part of this particular class, I have a constructor. I will have a constructor. So public hostel world test, as simple as that. This guy accepts two things. Number one is the WebDriver and second thing is string URL. Okay, string URL. Now, what do? You say this dot driver equals driver. Okay, once you're done with that, you can say driver dot get, and you can say the URL. Meaning, as soon as you create an object of hostel world test, you are supposed to supply the WebDriver object, and also you're supposed to supply the URL. So you can just say this dot driver dot get driver. Yeah. Okay. When you do that, ideally what is happening? You are instantiating, you are supplying this driver object here in the constructor so that all other test case can use it. And you are also instantiating your application. And then you can write test cases. How will you write test cases? You will write test case like this, saying public void TC001, that's your test case number one, give a valid name, TC002, so on and so forth, right? And whatever this format I'm showing you, it will be very, very important for you to understand this because later on we will be modifying it for TestNG learning. So we have this guy here, and then we can write some tests, right? Whatever test you want to fill, you can write it here, and then you can just call them. I'm just right now saying sysout DC001, 002, 3, all right? And inside this method, you can actually write your actual test case implementation. How do you call this, or how do you use this small structure? Very simple. You go and create a new class and make this class as a main class and say test executor. Basically, you're executing your test from this class. Right? Text executor. Say finish. And once you're done with that, what do? You say that I want to trigger the test cases for hostel world. No problem. So hostel world test, hostel world tests, HWT equals new hostel world test. I have to provide a constructor, parameters for it. Number one is a driver object. Number two is the string, the URL. No problem. Let's create the driver object. How do you do that? I said driver factory df equals new driver factory. And in here, Control-Shift-O again, it will tell you where do you want to get the driver factory from. If you get multiple same names of your class to be imported, it will give you this section to choose the right import. So I choose this guy. All right. And then I say df dot get driver. Okay. And then you can give the browser name as Chrome. All right. And you remember that this df is basically giving you back a WebDriver object. So meaning instead of creating it here, I can directly supply it here in the parameter itself, right? Because at the end of the day, this guy is resulting back to a WebDriver object. And that is the first parameter of this constructor. It's a WebDriver and a string. String is the URL. What is the URL? URL is https hostelworld.com, and that's it. Simple framework. Now, once you have this, now you can just go ahead and you say hwt dot dc001 dot dc001 2 3, right? Meaning you are going to run 3 test cases for hostel world test. Do you see that how easy it is to create a maintainable, good-looking code? This code, anybody can read and understand what exactly it is happening. Our main motive is to learn framework implementation in such a way that you are going to create a framework that will be easily understandable by your peers, and they can immediately start working on it. So in future, you will be, in this course, we will be creating at least 5 different projects or frameworks from scratch. But when you start actually working, you have to modify the framework. Okay, so you have to read the framework and then modify it. Okay, if you want to add some new features to it, right? So it is very important to implement a framework in a way that it can be easily maintained, it can be easily improved, right? So that's a simple framework. I expect you to, from here on, I expect you to use always a framework structure so that it kind of gets into your mind, all right? And don't write test case just like that randomly everywhere, scattered. No, all right? So let's go and run this part now. Okay. See, simply creating getting the Chrome driver, and it's done. I didn't call the quit. I could have df.quit driver, and then I can just say Firefox here, and this will work as well for me. Right, simple stuff, and it closes. Right, it has called all the test cases, which is why you should be able to, these are not errors, by the way. You should be able to see TC00123, it got printed. And it is saying stop listening to the port. Don't think that whatever is in red is an error. It is not an error. It's a simple log coming out of Firefox. It's not an error. All right. Don't think that it's a error. You can see that it's trying to say that it has stopped listening to the port, because obviously test case 1, 2, 3, I haven't done anything, right? So that the driver will get some information into it, right? It's a idle, it's a simple blank test case. So that's why it's saying stop listening to the port, so on and so forth, and then it gets killed. So this is what I wanted to show you as a part of runtime polymorphism and a simple framework. Do you have any questions for me?
Just a quick question. I think I missed something there. When you called them, you had hwt.testcase001.
Yeah.
Where did you actually make the definition to link hostile route to hwt?
Here, right?
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
Okay. And the TC001, 2, and 3 is a part of this particular class. So that's why.
Okay, thanks.
No problem. Perfect. So I'm going to take a quick 5 minutes break. If you don't have a question, I'll come back and then we'll talk about expats. Expat is very important. If you know how to deal with locators in automation, your whole approach will be much easier for you to design. So we'll talk about the export part, but I will not be talking from week 3. I'll go to week 4 directly. And the week 4, I have spoken about export and absolute export and relative export and all those stuff. So what happened to my site? Okay, export methods, difference between okay, cool. Let's try to talk about them. A lot to cover here. So one minute. I think I missed the other section, right? Because in that section, I have the definition for plus 10. Right. Yeah. I want to talk about this part, right? Export structure, locator strategies, export structure, absolute and relative export, finding element by export. I want to start with this, all right? So let me come back in 5 minutes and then we'll start from here. Thank you. So we are going to talk about locator strategies first. And I want to talk about why we are not considering any of the other locator strategies that we have, and why we are sticking with mostly these three guys, ideally. So number one is by ID. Number two is CSS selector. Number three is, the most prominent one, is the expert. And why not any other? We have to understand that why we don't want to care about anything else. So let's try and understand. Driver.find element by class name, right? By class name. And you're providing a class name over here. Okay? Why this is absolutely not going to work for us? Simple reason. If you take up any website, for example, let's go to Hostel World, or maybe go to rental cars, all right? And then let's try and understand. This is the location. This is the one that you want to work with, all right? So let's go and say inspect, and that gives you something. That gives you the locator of the element which you're trying to interact with. No problem. The class name is this for the locator. Let's go and say Control F in the keyboard. And as soon as you try to find the class name, you see right here in this section, let me just point that to you. In this section, it says 4 matches. Okay, I'll still say the number is low, but with the same class name, there can be another 20 matches in the whole page. Your idea is very simple. The main way to write automation test case is very simple. You have to find an element uniquely in the page, meaning it should be one of one or one match, meaning it is a unique guy in the page, and you are trying to interact with that element. That is how you should be doing it. You cannot think of using some kind of a locator strategy that will end up multiple matches. Not possible. In the right way, you should do is this, because you see, when you say driver.find element by class name, you're basically saying that whatever the class name is, I want to work with it. It's not going to work out. So this logic is not working out perfect. Let's see the next logic, or the next locator strategy. It says by ID, yeah, it will work out. Why it will work out? By ID, meaning it is most likely that 99.99% likely that there is no other components in the page that will have the same ID. Please understand that from HTML perspective, it will never complain if you give another element the same ID. It will never complain. But 99.99%, when you have an ID for a particular element, it is supposed to be unique in the page. So if I just look for this ID, you see, okay, here it is not the ID. Here it is data test ID or class name. They are different. They're different. Here we are talking about ID. So how do you know if the ID is unique? Very simple. I'm going to write something. I'm writing a syntax, which is a Expat syntax. And I will talk about that in details later on. So double slash, I'm going to give the element. The element is input, but let's not talk about input. Let's not specify input. I'm saying, give me any element, that means star, give me any element that has an ID at ID equals this guy. You see that? I am just sent back to the element that I'm trying to work out with, meaning this element is having an ID which is the right one I am trying to deal with. So what exactly this syntax means? The syntax that I have written right now, it's an XPath syntax. So if I want to describe this properly, let me open up my, maybe Eclipse is fine. And this is what I wrote, right? It's an XPath. There's significance to double slash. I'll talk about that in a minute. But basically, what I'm trying to say is, give me the star means give me any element that has, and square bracket, right? I say at ID that has an ID. ID is what? ID is an attribute. You probably have seen my video. You know the difference between an attribute and a tag. A tag could be something like, in an angular bracket, input. That's a tag, right? And then it can have an ID, for example, not an ID, but an attribute called as @class, class. Class equals some name, some class, right? And then it can have multiple different attributes. So it can have a class, it can have data, test ID, something, ABCD, right? It can have ID as well, equals something, right? And then it can finally close the input tag by saying slash and quote, right? That's how you are creating an input tag ideally, right? Or input element. And you can say that these guys are nothing but your attributes, all right? And some ID, all right? And this is your attribute, this is your tag name. So I'm saying, get me an attribute that has an ID as attribute, and then you're giving the value to it, right? And that's how you will be finding it. So what I wrote here is an XPath syntax, but I'll talk more about it. But just for your understanding at this stage, I'm trying to make it easier for you to relate to it. Yeah. So now I have ID search toolbox, and that's how I found out that there is only one guy. Perfectly fine. Let's move on to the next one. So I said ID is good, class is not good. Driver.find element by link text. So meaning you're trying to find out an element or find out a link that is having a text called sell on Amazon or something. For example, let's go to rental cars and let's see if I can find a link. I mean, it can work out at some point, but there is no guarantee that it will always work. and the problem is this, right? The problem is that your application is continuously changing, and as a QA, you have no control over it. The problem is, even if you're choosing any of these locators which are working right now, you have no guarantee that after 2 months it will be still performing. By 2 months, something else will be added, and you will have the problem. So you have to always try to use something that is a 90% permanent fix. All right. So for example, you want to work with a link. I'm not really sure if I can take up an example here. Let me see the link text. So how do you get a link text, by the way? I can write an expat for that as well. So links are having tag, which is anchor. So basically you're going to say A means anchor. And when I say text, it means text and cork, for example. Yeah, this guy is unique in the whole page. For example, in this situation, you can definitely go ahead and use it. Hi, Helen, can you not hear me? 1 minute. Is it okay for everyone else, or?
That is good here.
Okay, now he is saying.
Fine.
Now she is saying she's hearing me. Okay, cool, thank you. So what I'm trying to say here is that if you use this method, that is by link text, you have to understand that even if your link, even if there is only one link in the page that is having a particular text, there is no guarantee that tomorrow there will be no other link with the same value. And instead of clicking on the right link, you will be clicking on the other one, right? Maybe you see that there are two links right now. There is only one link right now in this section, which is cork, right? And it is at the very bottom, right? Now tomorrow, if you have another link over here, say cork, what will be the problem? The problem will be that the link that is in the top section will get the click, not the bottom one. But you meant to click on the bottom link, not the top link. Why it happens like that? Because when you try to interact with the element, your scanning of the element in the page happens from top left corner to the bottom right corner. Meaning, if you're trying to click on a footer link named cork, maybe today it is working fine, but after 2 months, a developer is adding another link called cork at the top of the page. Because it's at the top of the page, your cork at the top will get the click, not the bottom one. But you meant to click the bottom one. So which is why I'm saying that working it out with just the link text is not going to help you. Right? It's not going to help you. Again, the same stuff with partial link text. What is partial link text? Again, if you look at this section, for example, you're trying to click on a link, maybe Manchester Airport or Birmingham Airport. Airport is a common section, and you want to click on a link that is having a partial link or partial text called as airport. For example, if I want to create the same section or the same strategy for partial link text, I would do this. I would say contains text. Don't worry if you don't understand this, but let me show you what I mean by partial link text here. Right, you see, there are 32 of these guys. This is exactly what is happening when you are trying to deal with a partial linked text. You're trying to say, get me an anchor that has a keyword called as airport. That's why I'm saying contains. And there are 32 of them, which is not going to make sense. I mean, probably it will make sense in a situation where you're trying to perform a click on every link in the page that has a keyword called airport. Probably in that particular situation only. But still, you can see that I can easily achieve that partial link text situation with the help of Expat. Whatever I'm writing here is Expat. Okay. You get this window, the window that I'm showing you here, you get this window with by saying Control F on this section, on the black section. And this black section, on this section is under Elements tab, right? That's the Elements tab over here, where you go and you just say Control F. That will bring up this section, small section, where you can do your searching, okay? You can get this section in Chrome, in Edge, in Firefox, everywhere, all right? So that's that. Now let's move on to the next one. Partial link text, no. Again, find element by name. What is name? Name is also an attribute. Let's see. Let's see if I can find some good example out of that. So maybe this guy. Does it have a name? Yeah, it has a name. Search toolbox pick update. Looks like it is unique. How do I know that? I can just say, no, it's not unique. No, yeah, it is unique because you have just one attribute with the name. How do you know that? It's very simple. Let's try to write the Expat version of it. So I will write it like this. I will say slash. I'm trying to find out any element, so star, which has a attribute called name. So at name equals this guy. So yes, it is unique. This situation, it is unique, but there is no guarantee. There is a possibility that two components in the page is having the same name, and then it will fail. So always make sure that you do your research properly. So now, then we have, this one is a joke. Find element by tag name. Really? Because there are thousands of tags. I mean, how can you pinpoint a particular element by the tag name? There are, if you say, just say you want to, this is an input tag, right? This is an input tag. And you want to work with this input tag. And if you just say input, how many you have? You have 124 of them. No point. No point at all to work with input tag. So this part is also not the right one, the tag name. You have CSS selector and Expat. CSS selector is also a way you can write your custom locator, but it doesn't really support all different type of what do you call as flexibilities that Expat supports. This guy don't have all, I mean, it don't have all different type of methods that can make your life easy to get the Expat created. It doesn't have it. But then Expat comes out with those exact features where you can use methods like contains, like text, like starts with, like following sibling, preceding sibling, so on and so forth. I'll talk about all those methods, and it will really open up a broad range of use case for you in order to find an element in the page, which is why I am going to only stick with Expat and ID. If you have an element with an ID, then you don't have to break your head. Just go and use the ID and you should be sorted. But if you see that there is no ID, then you need to know how to write your Expat, period. Okay? You can also learn how to write a CSS selector, but I'm not really showing it to you so that, you know, I mean, I don't want to really work on the same thing over and over again. So I think this one custom look at a strategy will work out for you. Okay, so let's just try and understand something. What is XPath? XPath is a structural navigation technique used in a structured document. Structured document means HTML. You can see there's a structure to it. There is an opening tag, closing tag, opening tag, closing tag for body. Every component has a structured tree layout, ideally, you know. So XML is also a structured document. HTML is a structured document. So to actually understand each and every one of these elements in the path, meaning if you want to work with this or this, right? If you want to get to these elements, you can use XPath, simple. To handle any structured document, we will be using XPath. All right, let's move on to the next part, which says there are two different types of XPath, which you have to understand. Number one is absolute XPath. What is an absolute XPath and why it is harmful for us? Many people will do this. What they will do is, for example, we have rental cars here, and the rental cars is having the search button, right? The search button is having some information here. You see, search, greatest ID, class, blah, blah, blah. You have these information here for the search button. If I want to create an XPath for this, a lot of people will do this ideally. What they will do is they will right click on this element. They will go to say copy, and they will say copy XPath. They will exactly do this. Let's try to do it. And let's try to see what is it giving us. So, which means they are trying to avoid writing their custom XPath. Okay, they're trying to find a shortcut to get the XPath. And what's the problem with that? So let's try and understand. Awesome. We are getting the structure. Now, XPath is a structured document. This structure that you are seeing here is an absolute XPath type or absolute version of XPath. What do I mean by that? Meaning, let's try to break it down in a step-by-step manner so that it makes sense to you when I explain. And why do I hate it? And why you should hate it too? Let me explain that. Let me just put them in the right order so that, you know, it makes sense for the discussion. Finally, button. Right? Finally, button. Good. Let me close this guy and let's try to understand the structure. All right. So what exactly is happening? When you're trying to interact with this particular button, ideally Selenium is trying to find the element in the page, right? This particular button is trying to find it. If you use this XPath exactly the way I copied, or so many people will do this, what will happen is at the initial stage, it will absolutely work. No problem with that. But you have to understand that it will fail eventually. Why? Because you see that it starts from the very top of the page, the scanning of the element, the scanning of this button will start from the top of the page and it will go down, right? Now look at it. In the whole page, we see multiple sections. We see everything so well organized. Why do we see that, right? We see that because developers are clever. They try to add in divisions or divs. They try to add in tables. They try to add in forms so that you can see a structured, what do you call is, layout, right? So HTML body div2. What is div2? Meaning when the scan is happening for the button, there is already multiple divs after body. Okay, there could be multiple divs after body. Div over here, and then there could be a div here as well, right? Which are in the same layer. I mean, these three guys are in the same level. I'm just assuming right now. These three guys are in the same level, right? They're in the same level. So out of the three guys, the second guy is my div, under which if I follow the trail, then I can get to the button. You can see div2. Again, there is a div2, and there is div, and there are so many divs here just before the button. And out of that, the sixth div is basically containing the button. So I came here in the button. So you understand that there are multiple divs in between. So what's the challenge? The challenge is this. Today, you are seeing that there is the second div, which is basically the trail for the button. What if the developer 2 months down the line changes or adds one more div over here? Adds one more div over here. If it is doing that, if they do it, what will happen is the div, which was your second div to follow the trail, is not second anymore, it's third now, because they have added a div over here. Meaning you're not getting to the button and your test case will fail. Similarly, your div section over here, this whole list, what if they remove one of the div from here? Again, your test case will fail. The locator will be failing, meaning you cannot and you must not copy the XPath from an automated tool like our this guy, correct? Elements tab in the browser. So never copy it like this. Okay, you have two options ideally: copy XPath and copy full XPath. Full XPath is even terrible. It is so terrible that, or maybe this time it will give the this time it will be the same. Let me just check. Yeah, it's actually the same. Okay, it's actually the same. But anyways, sometimes you will see that it's even more terrible. Full XPath. All right. So never copy it from there. So what is our next idea? The next idea is that we will be using relative XPath. All right. What is relative XPath? Well, this guy. Okay. As a part of relative XPath, instead of going to the target component or element step by step, we can perform a global search for that element, okay, and then get to that element directly without actually going through a step-by-step approach. We will be performing a global search. So from that perspective, you can understand that so far I'm basically using Sorry, not this. Okay, so you can see that we are starting and going to the next step with single slash, meaning one step at a time. As a part of relative XPath, they will not be doing single slash, they will be doing double slash, which means perform a global search from the component before. Perform a global search, meaning you can even do something like this. You can even say home body, and then you can say double slash. So you're saying till the body I go as relative, sorry, absolute, and then I go double slash, and then you can say I'm trying to look for an input element. You can do that. See, double slash means you are doing a global search from the previous element, correct? So if that's the case, then what we can do is we can easily go ahead and say that this XPath for our search button is very simple to find, meaning I'll just show you one easy way to find it. You see, the search keyword or the search text is most likely not changing. Can we do something like this? Can we directly try to find out this paragraph called P, which is under the button? You see, P is under the button. Can I try to find out the search text first and then go to the button? Yes, we can. How it is? Very simple. Just say double slash, meaning I'm performing a global search. P that has a text. So I'm using a method coming out of this, coming out of Expat called text, and then I give a bracket and say equals to, and then I give a quote, and then I give search text. That's all. When I do it, I see that I'm landed right here in the text, but I'm not going to click on the text, but I want to click on the button. So let's go one step above. So slash dot dot. That takes me to the button, and that's my target component. Now, whatever changes before my button, right, I don't care, because as long as the text search is present, I am going to find out my element by any means. This is a glimpse that I want to give you for relative XPath. Do you have any questions for me? You see how easy was it to find the button in this whole page, right? Do you have any questions for me? We'll go through it more, but at this stage.
Yeah, I have a question. When do you use single quotes and when do you use double quotes?
For example, you go and you use double quotes here. It still works. There is no problem. But the problem is not here, but problem is in the actual situation where you will be writing your test. Let me explain. So I'll go to my WebDriver. So here we are dealing with hostel world. Let's not do with hostel world. Let me deal with okay, I already have the driver factory or the Chrome driver. That's fine. Let me actually go to the rental cars. Rentalcars.com. Good. Let's go inside the method. All right. Inside the method, I want to run that first situation where I want to click on that button. Simple. So I say driver, this driver dot find element by dot Expat. Then you're supposed to give the Expat over here, correct? And I want to say a click. Good. Now let's try to copy the Expat which you created right here, right? So copy this. You see it is working fine, no problem at all. You copy this and paste it here. Do you see some problem? Do you see that this double quotes are, you need to unnecessary escape it with the slashes. It looks weird. You're because you have quotes already, all right, and you're just saying within this is a string, and you're saying within the string you're trying to add in the search, which is your target keyword to find the button. And if you're using double quotes, you have to make sure you actually escape it with a slash. Instead of that, you can just go ahead and make it look good by just adding single quotes, and this will still be working fine. And it also looks tidy. So if I run this now, it must work. Click on the search button. It did quit it. Let me actually stop. Let me actually go back to my test executor and just comment out the quit driver so that you know what exactly happened when it clicked on the search button. You see, you clicked on it, it says, please provide a pickup location, right?
Yeah.
So your click was fine, but yeah, I think that answers your question.
Yeah, thanks.
No problem, good stuff. Okay.
I have another one
Yeah,
quickly. Sure. Until now, we always started with a dot, and it was dot // but now you just used //. Does it matter, or?
So basically, what exactly is dot? I was supposed to come to that, but anyways. So basically, it will actually give the same result if you look at it. If you look at it, you're going to get the same result. But when you say dot, you're explicitly saying that your search is starting from the root of the page. The root is HTML. From this location, your search is starting. Okay. When you say just // it means also that you are doing a global search, but then you can, I'll show you something. I'll show you something. So this button is under, come on. Control F. So this button, where is it? Okay. This button is under some kind of a parent component, right? So maybe, yeah, this is my div class. Okay, data test ID. Now I want to show you something. Copy, and let's come till here, meaning div at class equals this guy, // div, am I doing it right? Not class, data test ID, right? That's why. Right? Do you understand that I first came down to the div, which is containing the pickup location, the dates, the time, and the search. From there, I'm saying // From there, I'm saying // meaning I'm saying that make a search, make a global search only in this section. Where are you? Where is it? Let me show you with the color coding. So you came till here, the first line over here, and then you're saying, do a search under your own sector. Okay, so you're saying global search only in this zone until you find this element, right? You understand that? That is why I'm saying double slash over here. So, okay, at this stage, if I do a double, if I do a dot, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense because there is no root. There is no root after this guy. There is no root after this guy, right? But double slash makes sense because you're just saying that there is, you're trying to go down to it directly from here. Is that clear? Now, the difference between dot and double slash? Andre?
Yeah. I'm not sure. So wait, I thought that the slash was the global search, right? And then with double slash, it just starts from any point in the HTML and just looks for what.
Slash is never a global search. Slash is basically trying to target the next immediate element. For
Okay, because
example,
I thought you can start with a single slash or with two, and then if it's two, it means that it goes anywhere in the HTML, and if it's just one, then it starts from the top and it takes everything like
global search, when I say global search, I mean that you're trying to search under the whole page, right?
Yeah.
But when I'm saying a single slash, for example, if I do a single slash from this location, if I do a single slash, let's see, I do a single slash right now, okay? And I say div. What do I see? I was here, I came to my immediate child, which is a div, right?
Yeah.
Inside this div, if I do a single slash again, I have another div, but you see now, earlier, if you see, it's saying 1 of 1 over here, but now if I say slash div, it says there are 7 of the same guys. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm not sure where the 7th one. Oh, 7th one, right?
Yep.
So single slash means immediate child. When I say double slash, it means it will go in that whole zone, meaning it will cover child and also the grandchild. Because look at it, when I said double slash over here, when I said double slash over here, you saw what it did. You see, this was my target element. Let me just show it to you. This was my, I'll take another color, maybe blue. So this was my first target component. So I came in here. From there, I said, get me a guy, which is a paragraph. So what it did, it landed into the child, which is this guy first. From this guy, it found that there are multiple divs. So from this guy, it landed into this div, because this div is the great grandparent of the paragraph. From here, it landed into the button. It opened the button and then finally found the paragraph. It got the paragraph information. It found that there is a text called search, which I was searching. And then I said slash dot dot means go back to the button again. You understand?
Yeah. Yeah, I got it now.
Yeah.
And also regarding the XPath, is it like you said, 99.9% of the time there won't be like elements with the same ID, for example, but if when you're doing your test case you get your XPath, and then it's just one of one element. And then in 2 months, maybe they add that same ID to like a different element, and then your test won't work. It does that happen? Like
It happens.
you
It
just fix it?
It happens once in a while. It happens once in a while. The chances are very, very low, right? They don't generally tamper with IDs. They generally don't do that, right? So if you have an ID, right? I don't want you to think twice. I don't want you to really go ahead and write your XPath. You can just handle an ID just like that, meaning simply go to your test, like I'm doing here, and just say driver.find element, just use the ID. Find element and just say by.id. That's it. And give the ID and you are sorted.
Okay.
99.99% chance that it will not change. But if it changes like once in a while, then you have to obviously either talk to the developer. And if you don't have the access to the developer, then you have to write an XPath. An XPath that will be much, much better than ID also, which will probably never change, because you will be not only using the ID, but you will be using some other components around to make it more stronger. Okay, but that happens once in a while. Don't worry about it. Right? But the problem is that absolute XPath, people who does that, like copying and pasting, they run into a problem, a significant problem that keeps on coming back over and over and over again. With XPath, with ID as well, you will sometimes, 1% chance that sometimes it can say that the element is changed. But yeah, that's easily maintainable. But if you copy and paste it, like the way I showed you, you will run into it more and more often, and you will spend your half of the day, every day, to fix up your locators, which is ridiculous, right? So rather you learn how to use XPath and then write it the right way, so that you don't run into these problems. So that's that. So I just gave you a very good understanding about what is XPath, what is a relative XPath, what is absolute XPath. Now, once you understand that, we have to understand what are XPath methods that we have. So let's say here, relative XPath, finding element by XPath. I just showed you one of them. And that's pretty much from this slide deck. Let's go to the next one over here. And let's see what else we have to cover. So we have XPath methods, difference between find element and find elements. And there are some XPath methods. Let me just go and look at the next one as well. Okay, test framework. What did I do here? Okay, I have spoken about some of the browser commands. Okay, these are very simple. Access, XPath access, web element commands, all right. And then we have another section about class 13, which is, there's no other slide deck there, but there are assignments. I will upload the assignments, but ideally I have to just cover this section and this section for now. Perfect. So we have two different type of, okay, we'll talk about XPath methods. Let's go and try to understand them. So ideally, there are two methods that we will be dealing with. Number one, I showed you already, called text. Number two is instead of text search, you would like to do contains. So actually, I will take the example of A, anchor. Why am I saying this? Because I want to cover two things at once. Meaning, if I take you to the rental cars, and if I show you at the very bottom of the page, so I have a plan that I want to click on all the links that has a keyword called airport, right? So how do I write the XPath for that? It's very simple. I will say I'm looking for an anchor. So double slash, I'm looking for an anchor that is going to have a text that will contain a text called as airport. How do I do that? It's very simple. You write a method called contains. All right. As a part of the contains, you say text again and say comma and then double quotes, single quotes here. And here you say you're looking for airport, right? And you see there are 32 of them, okay? Which I'm not really happy with because it is taking it from somewhere. I don't even see it in the page. Where are these guys? They are link panel list. Is it somewhere hidden that I don't see it? I think I don't see it. You know, they're not accordion child. Accordion child. I don't see them. The ones the ones I see is only the first few of them. Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I see 10 of them, and then I don't see them. So these guys are somewhere else, which I'm not able to see. So by the way, if you face a problem like this, and don't bother about it. Okay, it says airport car hire, meaning it is not even here, it is somewhere else. It is not even airport car hire. It is somewhere. Okay, I know where it is. Maybe it's somewhere here. Ah, exactly. Luxury car hire. So there could be somewhere airport car hire. Okay. So it's under the additional information. All right. So you cannot see it directly, right? You have to click on this to get that. All right. So by the way, if you have to click on this element, you have to make sure that you click on this accordion, expand that, and then only click on it. Exactly how you would do manually, right? Automation is no different than manual execution, but I mean, whatever the steps you perform manually, you have to exactly mimic that through programming. That's pretty much about it. So here you have to expand it, and then you have to get that. Anyway, so my motive is just to take care of only this section. All right, how do I do that? Let's try to understand it. So we will take up this guy. All right, I'm going to cover 2-3 things today together so that it is going to be very interesting for us to learn. So meaning, you see that there's a keyword called as top worldwide airports. If you look at it, this guy is right here in this section. It's a H3, all right? Top worldwide airports, right? My motive is to get to a level where I can find out the anchors under only this particular section. Meaning, somehow, if I can target this H3, and then I can look for all the anchors with a keyword airport, then I should be good. That's my motive. So, by the way, in this situation, it could be even more easy, meaning I don't really have to use the contents airport because I want to actually click on all these links, because I'm kind of narrowing down my search. So I can do something like this. I can first and foremost look for this keyword called top worldwide airports. What I will do is I'll say I'm looking for a H3 that has a text, not contains.
Oh, Vic, some reason we are not able to see the text what you're typing in your Expat. Maybe it is not only me, I believe.
Let me. Do you see now?
Yes, yeah. Thank you.
No problem. So, where is my H3? Okay, anyway, I just say this is my H3. Top 3 text airport equals to H3. Why don't I see it? It is H3 top worldwide airports. I think there is some gap. Yeah, there's an extra space here.
So there is a bracket after airports.
Oh, my bad. That is also right. Yes, I didn't see that. Good, right? So I came till H3, perfectly fine, no problem at all. From here, now I can look for my anchors. Okay, so you see, I don't really have to deal with the keyword airport. If I want to, I can, but I can idly say that this is my H3. Under this H3, so always try to look for the levels. Look at the level. These all guys are in the same level. You see that? When I'm hovering them, it is also getting reflected in the screen. You see that? I'm hovering them, they're also getting reflected in the screen. So meaning that they are all in the same level. You can see that when I'm hovering all of them in the same layer or in the same level, they're all being highlighted. So basically the top worldwide airport is also in the same level as the anchors. Not the anchors, but the divs which are containing the anchors. So meaning I can do something very easily. I cannot say slash, right? I cannot say slash. Slash is the immediate child, meaning first and foremost, I have to go to the div here. Right now I'm in this H3. Somehow I have to go to this div first. So I'll just say slash dot dot. That takes me here, right? To this div. Now, all these divs are the siblings. Let me color code it. All these divs which are holding the anchors is in the same level as of this primary div. So instead of, so we cannot use a slash here. Slash means immediate child, or we cannot use double slash also because it means grandchilds in the same layer, same level, grandchilds, right? We cannot use that. So what can we use? We can use something called as expat access, meaning I will say, just single slash, I will say following sibling, meaning give me the siblings under me, and the sibling is a div. You see that? So it is saying, okay, there are multiple divs here. You see, I'm just scrolling down, and it is just showing me all the divs. You see how easy was that to find it out? But I'm not concerned about the divs. I'm concerned about what? I'm concerned about the anchors, meaning the div, if you just open any one of these divs, there's an anchor, meaning I can just say slash anchor because the anchor is going to receive the click. So now it is actually pointing the anchors. You see? All of them. I don't actually have to say explicitly contains airport. I can do that, like I have shown you earlier, I can do that, but this is also another way. So I have shown you following sibling, which is a part of Expat access, which is letting me to select element which are in my level. HTML is a structured document, meaning it is having a tree-like structure. So obviously there are siblings, there are childs, there are grandchilds, there are parents, there are grandparents. So whenever you are trying to find an element, try to understand the structure, the neighbors of that component, that particular node, and that the surrounding nodes. Okay, I'm not saying that this is something that you can get it at, one go. It takes time. I mean, to get to the level where you can start writing solid test cases, it will be initially challenging, but you have to do this. You have to go to multiple different websites. Like I showed this for rental cars. You have seen the video for Hostel World site, right? You can take up any other site from your own imagination, and then try to take up complex sites and try to create experts out of it, multiple different types of experts. Just try to imagine a use case and then try to create an expert. And you will see challenges and you will have problem. That's where you will be asking me questions in the Slack. You will ask me questions, you will ask Gagan questions, and we will be able to help. So I'm totally understanding that it will not be easy at the initial stage, but we have to get there. Okay. So you understand that. How did I do it? It's very simple. Actually, if you understand, it's very logical. Nothing is coming out of thin air. Just see, again, you are in the H3, all right? Clear everything. You're in the H3. From this, I'm just going to my parent. So / ... that takes me to the div. And all I have to do is I have to then look for my siblings. In my sibling, in each and every one of my sibling, I have an anchor. So I will do exactly this. I'll say slash, not double slash, but single. Yeah, single slash, slash following sibling, following dash sibling, colon, div, because div is my immediate sibling. Inside the div, I'm looking for an anchor. So I completed my expert accordingly, right? Very simple. Now I found 10 of these guys, totally fine. How can I work with it? It's very simple. I can use something called as, okay, let me actually complete this section as well. I was saying contains text, and in this case, he will not make equals to, he will not give equals to, he will give comma, and then you will close the bracket. That's how you say contains, right? And then you're talking about multiple links to handle. How do you do that? Simple again, you say list of web element. You're trying to deal with multiple web elements here, not one, but multiple web elements. List of web element. You say what is that? The name of the object. Say airports. Give any name. Then you say driver dot find elements by expert. Simple. By expert, put the expert information that we just got here, and we are all sorted. So driver dot find elements, perfectly fine. It is expecting you to import the list and the web element. So just say import web element right here. List is here, Java util. You are not going to choose it from AWT or Java C util. You can just choose it from Java util. You see, the right one. Once you're done with that, now we will try to get the text from each and every one of them, or maybe the href. Okay, it's very simple. Do a for each loop for web element ele colon airports, right? And then just say sys out. And I will be saying, I'll be printing out two things: the name of the text, that is ele dot get text, because it's a web element, right? If it's a web element, I will obviously have the access to the method called get text, no problem. So I have the access to the method, and then I also want to print out the value or the href of the link. How can I do that? It's very simple again. Just say ele, the same element, dot get attribute. And here you just say href, because href is the attribute that you want to print. So that's pretty much that I want to run here now. I'll go and just run this section and let's see how it goes. Oh my God. Perfect timing. Sorry about that, guys. So rental cars is doing this quite often now. It's trying to block me because I've tried to multiple times run the automation in their system. And it says you are trying to do it with a human speed because it automatically understands that it is being controlled by Chrome, which is a automated. I think there is a way to avoid this. Just give me a minute. Chrome being controlled by automated software development. I think I can control this in a just a second. There's a setting, I believe, in the Chrome that I can add. Just a minute. Avoid Chrome control. There is a setting in Webdriver. How to disable Chrome? Yeah. Yeah. Let's see. Enable automation. Exclude switches. Chrome options. Let me just see. What I will use is I'll go back to my driver factory and I will use something called as Chrome options. Chrome options. Chrome options. Right. And then, so these are the guys which lets you add in some more, switches or features to your object, browser objects. So I think I say ops dot add argument and set capability. I think so. Set binary, set capability objects. So capability name, set value. All right. Let's say we'll keep the capability name as, I think there is a enum. 1 minute. String capability. Yeah, there is a enum, I think. Capability. Capabilities dot. If I'm not finding it from here, then enable automation. False. And make it as false. I'm not sure if I'm putting the right right option here, but let me actually copy this and search for it. Let's see, Chrome options. Okay. Let's see what you have. Chrome options. No, I don't want to see the Java doc. I want to say something else. Chrome options. Chrome options for there's a particular setting. It's not easy to just find it from there. Exclude set experimental. Okay, I think this is what they are saying, right? So they're saying that Chrome options set capability. Chrome options or capability. Come on, Chrome options or capability options. That's the Chrome options. Where exactly is this? Disable info bars, not this. Exclude switches. Yeah. All right. Okay. That makes sense, right? So let's just try this. Let's see if that helps me. So I'll just go here and then paste. This is options. Okay. And I'll set this option to my Chrome driver. All right. Let's see if this helps. Exclude switches, enable automation. So I'm trying to exclude it. Okay. Let's try to run. Let's see if this helps. No. You see, this info bar which was coming saying that you're running through the automation, that is gone. But these guys are clever enough and they're tracking my IP address. So it didn't work. But if it is not working, that's fine. We can actually use some other site. What's the big deal, right? So which one can I use? I can use you can use not rental cars, but do I have something else? Let's see, enterprise cars, car rental. Let's see if this guy works for me. All right, it's a car rental, and it should have a footer as well. And it has got airport cars, yeah, kind of same stuff. Hopefully, let's try and do the inspection. Have to change a little bit here and there, but hopefully it'll work. Hopefully, it's a H2. Not exactly right. Yeah, it's a H2. So how they have done this, you see, it's a H2 here. And under H2, they have added a UL, all right? You don't have to go to the div and then come to the div. No, it's a H2. Under that, they have a UL. UL means unordered list. If you open this up, you have the list items. They have done it in a different way, right? And then every LI guy is having a anchor, all right? So it's a little bit different. What I'll do is I'll go back here to my test. And I will just simply Control D. Oops, sorry. Okay, I will say airports, but this time I will not say H3, it's a H2. I'll go to my text here. The text is airport car hire in Ireland. That's perfect. So text, always practice in live applications. Don't take up any simple application like, you know, your any sample application. Always practice a live application. So here you see, earlier what did I do? I said I went till the H3 and I said, let's go one step up, right? And then did the following sibling. But this time I will not do that. I will directly go to the following sibling, just like that. Slash following sibling. Here I'm not looking for UL, not div, but I'm looking for UL. And inside UL, I have anchor, but the anchor is not directly under UL. Anchor is under LI. So I can either do this. I can say LI slash UA slash LI slash A, or I can just say double slash A, right? Because under UL, I'm trying to find an anchor, which is not directly under UL, but it is under LI, correct? So UL double slash A. Make sense? And if that's the case, then let's run this. And hopefully enterprise car will not block me. Oh, my bad. I have to change my URL, right? So test executor. Let's go back to the enterprise car, enterprise.ie, right? And let's put it there. Good. Let's run the system and see. Okay, so I'm expecting it worked out. By the way, I don't see that guy anyways. That section. No, airport. No, where's the section? That was the section, right? So obviously it has failed. It's failing because it is not giving me any response back, right? But my question is, it printed out for these two guys. That's okay. But my question is, why it is not failing for them? Because if it is not finding the element, it must fail, right? Why it didn't fail for me? And here the actual location is car hire HTML. You can actually check that from the private window to see whether you are getting the right location or not. Yes, that's the right location, right? So I should be changing the URL a little bit. Test executor. Okay. Okay, so that's my card guy, but my question is, why didn't it fail? Let me just test my export once so that I can get the confidence. 12. Yeah, I'm good. Totally good. 3 of them. All right. Okay, let's run this one more time and see what's going on. Okay. Yeah, I got them all. All right. So this is what I was saying, how to deal with following siblings, which is a access, which is basically a expat access. Like we have following sibling, we have preceding sibling, meaning you have something, a sibling which is above you. So you go to the sibling, preceding sibling, you have following sibling. You have ancestor. Ancestor meaning you are trying to go to the level, for example, you're in this level right now. You're in this level right now. So if you say ancestor section, then you must hit this guy over here. Okay. And I don't know whether there are multiple sections here. No, there is not. So you must hit this guy here called section. Or if you just say, I'm looking for an ancestor with the name div class content band, then you will hit here, right? So let's see, Control F. So you have this guy anchor, and I'm trying to look for an ancestor from this anchor, right? Okay. I can say I want to go to the anchor ancestor. I can say slash, or I can say I'm considering only the first element. So number 1. Sorry, my bad. Not like that. Just wrap it up in a bracket and then choose the first element, just like this. All right. And then say slash, okay, say ancestor colon div. And you see, I came to the first div, which is in my level, meaning if you just follow this trail, you will be able to get to this anchor. That is meant by ancestor. It's in the same hierarchy. Okay, so ancestor, and if you want to even make it, trackable, or if you want to basically make it unique, so you can say ancestor with a class, right? Ancestor div that has a class called as @class. @class equals this guy here. So you just came to this guy, ancestor with this guy, right? So you have ancestor, you have sibling, you have following sibling, you have preceding sibling, and that's pretty much about it. That's the X part that I wanted to cover up. And also I wanted to talk about the section which is, all right, so let's quickly go over all of them. This is more of like you're practicing. So this is find elements and how to deal with siblings. I showed you that. I showed you how to work with find elements. So all good with that. As a part of browser commands, it's important because you need to know all these different commands. So you have methods like driver.get. Okay, driver.get, it is basically performing a similar action when you're trying to navigate to a particular page. So driver.get on driver.navigate.to will do the same thing. Driver.navigate.back will basically get you back to the previous page from where you came. Driver.navigate to forward will take you to the next page. Get current URL will return you back the URL of the current browser. Get title will give you the title of the page. Basically, if you hover your mouse on the tab, you see there's a title. You see, car hire pipe enterprise rent a car. That's the title of the page. So if you want to get the title of the page, you do it with get title. All right. These are basically the browser commands. There are web element commands. So when I'm saying browser commands, you see every one of them I can execute it from driver object, driver.get, driver.navigate, all the stuff, right? And then there are web element commands, which are the ones I showed you. There are so many of them. We'll cover more of it, but you can see I'm writing driver.find elements. So you see find elements, and then you saw me using the method called .get text or get attribute. These are all web element commands, right? You can see if I just use ele dot, and you can see there are so many of them. There are clear. Clear means you're clearing out the input field. Click means you're clicking on a button or anchor or anything like that. Then you have a get attribute. I used it. You have get location. If you want to get the location of a particular button, meaning in an X and Y coordinate format, you can do that. For example, you can see get location dot, you see, you can do a get X or you can do a get Y, which will tell you the location of a button or something if you need it. I mean, these are, see, there are hundreds of methods which are available, but probably you will not even use 50 of them. Okay, it all depends on your use case. All right, but I'm just saying there are methods like these, and then get location, and then you have, what else you have? You have get tag name, get text. We can have seen that is displayed if the element is displayed or not, is enabled if the element is grayed out or not. Okay, it's possible that the element is grayed out and you're not able to interact with it, so it's called enabled. All right, you have is displayed, is selected. If it's a checkbox or a radio button, you can say if it is selected or not, right? Send keys meaning you're trying to send a text to it. Submit means you're trying to submit a form. Okay, and that's it, right? We will take a lot of, we'll do a lot of test cases, and then you will get to practice them in the assignments, and that's how you will learn them more, right? So that's pretty much that I think I have for today. Expat access, ancestor, following, preceding, following, sibling, I showed you that. Web element commands, yeah, I was saying them. Click, send keys, clear, get attribute, get text. I showed you that. And that's pretty much that I ideally wanted to cover up for today. I will be uploading the assignment solutions into the same solution block. Now, if you have any questions for me, I can answer it for you right now. Any questions?
Souvik, what does is displayed used for?
Okay, so you want to know if a particular element is found in the page or not. So you have to understand something, that is, there is something called as hidden elements, right? The element is present in the DOM, but it is not present in front of the user so that the user can use it. If you have a use case, something like that, where you want to check if the element is displayed or not, and then if it is displayed, then you want to perform an action on that element. That's where that's where you will be using it, displayed. So bottom line is, if the element is present in the DOM, DOM means document object model. That is the, so what is DOM? This is DOM, right? This entire structure that you see here under element section, where you see the entire page, that's a DOM. So if an element is present in the DOM and it is not found in the page, or is invisible in the page, then it will get the value as false for is displayed. And otherwise it will be for, it'll give the value true. Make sense?
Yes.
Okay, good. Any other questions?
I just have a question. Say, for example, I want to save a piece of text from a website as a variable so I can use it later on in my code. Would that be web element x equals driver find element x path?
Yes, and then?
Oh no, that was my question.
Yeah, then dot get text, right? You see, I did this. Driver. So what am I doing? So if you remember my web element for each loop, I told you that on the right hand side you have the list of collections to work with, to loop around. So this is a list of web elements, and every time this loop is iterating, you're putting that every element one by one into this ELE, the element which is web element. The web element is having the access to the method called .getText. So you are doing .getText out of it. That is the reason why you got the value over here as Cork Airport or Dublin Airport or Shannon Airport, right? Because you did a .getText. So now all you have to do is this. You just say string whatever, and just say equals to ele.getText. So you will be able to set the value. No problem for later use.
Okay, yeah, thanks.
All right. Any other questions I can take up? I'm not getting any questions from Ashwin or Emmanuel or May, Venkat. Questions? Are you guys absolutely crystal clear, or
Yes, sir.
Rita?
I am very happy with the lecture and everything. I follow on your explanations. Like I see all the videos every time, and I do things myself as well.
Very good. Thank you. Thanks a lot. Emmanuel, what are you? Okay. All right. No problem at all. That's perfectly fine. Thank you. Thank you, guys. Then I'll call it a day. We have finished it a little 15 minutes early. That's okay. Yeah, go on, Andre, if you have questions.
I was just gonna say, I'm not sure if, for example, for applications, is that like a separate course? Like do we learn anything like that in this course or not? Because I always, I wonder sometimes, like, is it like similar, or that's like something much more complicated than?
What exactly you mean? You mean the examples?
No, I mean like an application, like no one. So when you
That is the reason why I'm always taking up the live applications to give you the
no,
exact.
I know, but I mean not like the websites, like an application, like I don't know, like when you go on, for example, Facebook on the browser, or you use the app.
Yeah.
Is that the same thing? Like when you work as a
Yeah.
QA tester, would that
Yeah,
be different?
exactly. No, it's the same. It's the same. I mean, from the front end perspective, it is the exact same. Whatever I am showing you in the course right now, it is exactly the same thing that you will be doing with any application, whether it's a Facebook or not. It's the exact same exact thing that you will be doing. You will be finding an element. You will be understanding how to work with the elements. You will be finding, and then write your test case.
Okay, but in an application, you won't be able to right-click and go on inspect, right? Same as you do in the browser.
You mean which application? You mean the mobile app or application?
Like, for example, an application that doesn't have a website. I don't know. Does that make sense? Like
you mean the desktop applications?
Yeah, something like that. Is
No,
that
no,
completely different?
no. It is completely different. Yeah, absolutely
Okay.
different. Yeah,
All right.
yeah. So I'm talking about application from me. For me, application is any application.
I understand.
Yeah. So you should say specifically like a desktop application. No, desktop application will not work, right? For example, I have app, maybe Zoom. Zoom application, right? I cannot go and say right click on it.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Because I guess like when you look for a job, is that specifically means that you would only test like web applications.
If there's a job in SDET profile and they are looking for someone with hands-on experience in desktop-based application, which is very, very unlikely. Why? Because there are 95% applications who are in web format, because you understand something, right? Desktop is much more expensive to maintain. Desktop apps are much more expensive to maintain. Web application is very simple to maintain. For example, it's very easy to understand, right? Because you see, in the web application, you want to add in a new feature. What will you do? You will go and update that feature into your server, and every user of yours will be able to use that, right? But if you want to use a desktop based application, you have to add a new version to it, you have to make sure that you have to release that version in a particular exe format, and you have to, I don't know, you have to probably let your users know that there is a new version available, and then they have to download it, they have to uninstall the old one, they have to update the new one. It is a lot more hassle than a web application, which is why web application is obviously the preferred choice. So if they need a desktop application tester, they will, explicitly they will let you know about it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just wondered, like, I thought maybe when you start work and then like your second project or whatever, they'll be like, okay, you're gonna work on an app now, like a
Yeah, you will work
DX,
on
yeah.
you will work on mobile apps. You will work on mobile Android apps, and that is why I showed you that I have the section over here in Wisdom QA for Appium, if you remember, right?
Yeah,
So
you said that's mobile.
that Appium, that particular mobile app section will have a different tool for inspection. We will not be doing the same inspection process what we are doing for web browser, right? This Appium, when we go to that level, you will see me using a different tool called as Appium, and that Appium tool itself is having an inspector tool within it, which we will be using to inspect the elements. Okay, but even there, we will be using same XPath concept. And then I will show you how to write XPath for that. But you will be using a different tool, not like browser, right click and inspect, not like that. Okay?
Okay.
Good.
That's all.
Perfect. And what else? Yes, QTP is used for desktop, but then I believe the QTP is like out of the market, right? I mean, I don't really see anyone using QTP anymore.
Yeah, but I know it's for desktop.
Yeah. That's right. I mean, QTP is something that was very prominent almost like 10 years back, but now it's very expensive to have, and only the companies who are like having desktop application to test, they are using QTP or something similar. Maybe they're using Test Complete. I think Test Complete can also help with mobile desktop application automation. I don't know. So yeah, that's it. Anyways, guys, thank you for coming to the class. I will enable week number 5, and I will also send a different link from 5th week onwards. I will send that link. This link will be obsolete now, and I will be giving a new link for you guys. So please accept that, and we will join back from next week from the week number 5 discussion. Thank you, guys. Thank you for coming.
Thanks.
Have a good week ahead. Yeah, bye-bye. Bye.
Good. Thank you.